It's our intention. Our intention is everything. Nothing happens on this planet without it. Not one single thing has ever been accomplished without intention.
I don't want to be an icon. I want to be an idea. You know, I want to represent an idea. I want to represent possibilities. I want to represent magic, right? That you're in a universe and 2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 only equals 4 if you accept that 2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 is going to be what I want it to be. You know, and there's a redemptive power that making a choice has, you know, rather than feeling like you're at effect to all the things that are happening. Make a choice. Like, you just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way. It's like, it's water. It wants to move and go around stuff, you know. So for me, I want to represent possibilities. I want to represent the idea that you really can make what you want. One of my favorite books is The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho. And that's just, I just believe that. I believe that I can create whatever I want to create. If I can put my head on it right, study it, learn the patterns, and, you know, it's hard to put into words, some real metaphysical, esoteric nonsense, but I feel very strongly that we are who we choose to be.
Throughout history, new scientific developments got some Christians to go into a tizzy. And when we talk about the law of attraction, there are virtually some born-again Christians who say that's of the devil, and you can't believe in that. So let me put this in perspective. For those of you who are Christians, for those of you who have different religious beliefs, and wonder if the law of attraction is a conflict. First, it is not a conflict. It is science. It doesn't conflict with any spiritual or religious belief at all. It complements it. If you are a Christian, and I'll speak specifically to the Christians because all the letters have come in from Christians. So if you are a Christian and you have concerns about the law of attraction, let me ask you a couple questions. As a Christian, do you believe in the law of gravity? Now think about it. It's the law of gravity. Do you have any problem with the law of gravity? No. Well, do you know at some points, some of these laws were said to be of the devil? Here's one of them. As a Christian, do you have any problem with the law of lift? You know, the law that makes an airplane fly? Think about it. When the law of lift started to be discussed, Christians said that is of the devil, because if God wanted man to fly, he would have given man wings. Think about it. Obviously, the law of lift is not a spiritual law. It is a law based on physics. Radio waves. When this first came out, the ability to transmit invisible frequencies through the ether so that voices could magically appear in boxes, that was thought to be of the devil. And anybody who wanted to play around with this should be burned at the stake for being a religious heretic, because this was not scriptural, not biblical, not godly, to start messing around with things that are not natural. Well, certainly radio waves are natural. Microwaves are natural. There's nothing mystical or magical or spiritual. These are physical laws. The law of attraction is nothing more than a law of physics. It's not mystical, it's not magical, it's not spiritual. It has nothing to do with God. And the fact that the law of lift works, the fact that the law of gravity works, the fact that radio waves work, the fact that electricity works, and the fact that the law of attraction is true and works does not discount God at all. It's just a physical law. And if you are a religious believer, this is what is in our physical universe. It's how the physical universe operates. And if you want to believe that God created this, this is what his creation is. He created the law of attraction for us to use and how the physical world operates. There's nothing mystical or magical. It is a physical, biological, structural law of matter. It's not into a spiritual realm. The law of attraction has nothing to do with the spiritual realm. It is a physical realm. It's just at a very quantum physics level, but it's still physical. It has nothing to do with spiritual. So the law of attraction, if you are a Christian, everything scripturally that you can look at backs up and talks about virtually your ability to create. There's the scripture that says, if you say unto this mountain, be removed and cast into the sea, it shall be done, as long as you believe in your heart. I mean, there's the whole law of attraction right there, and also the ability to create and manifest whatever you desire. Specifically define what you want and have 100% belief in it. God will grant you the desires of your heart. Above all things, I want you to be prosperous and be in health, just as the soul prospers. There's a lot of references out there, which I can go through for those of you who are Christians, hundreds of references which back up and verify the biblical acceptance of the physical law based on quantum physics of the law of attraction. So there's no issue whatsoever. Sometimes Christians say, well, when we talk about the law of attraction, you're talking about materialism way too much, and I don't like that being a Christian. Okay, well, you can be a broke, poor Christian. That's fine. Broke, poor Christians can't help anybody who are hungry because you don't have any money. I mean, think about this. People always talk about being broke as a pious thing. Well, for those of you who are Christians, I want you to consider something. Jesus wasn't broke. He never wanted for anything. Think about this for a second. Jesus had a ministry, and one of those guys was a treasurer. Remember, Judas was the treasurer. Poor people don't need treasurers. They never wanted or had a lack of anything. Now, he didn't develop a net worth, but in terms of his surroundings, if you look scripturally, he rode in on Palm Sunday on a donkey. Now, to put it in perspective, most people think about that as being a lowly form of transportation. Oh, he was on a donkey. Well, what you don't know is that a donkey was the Rolls Royce of transportation at the time. It's like the Pope Mobile. So he wasn't riding in like a pauper. He was riding in like a king. You'll also notice when he was crucified, it said that they couldn't share his robe. Remember, he had a cloak? It said that the Roman soldiers cast lots to see who would get the cloak. The word cloak, and keep in mind the New Testament was written in Greek, the word cloak refers to a one-piece garment. This is a mink coat at the time. A one-piece garment, a cloak. Nobody had that. It was too expensive. So here Jesus, our poor Jesus, our pauper, was riding in on Palm Sunday in a Rolls Royce, the donkey, and wearing the most expensive piece of clothing at the time, a one-piece cloak, which couldn't be shared because it was a one-piece garment and had to be cast for lot. So the point is, biblically it says, above all things, I want you to prosper. And the Greek word prosper means in all areas, including material. It says, I want you to prosper above all things and be in health. Two separate things. Prosper is materialism, having what you need. Prosper, having an abundance, never lacking, never wanting, and be in health. Then he puts the priority. just as the soul prospers. So that's the most important priority for you. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to focus on materialism. Money is not a four-letter word. For those of you who think that money is the root of all evil, that's not the scripture. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is not evil. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. So for those of you who are Christians and backing this up, I want you to consider that the law of attraction certainly is no different than the law of gravity or the law of lift or different quantum physics laws of the universe. It is completely in line with your Christian beliefs, and if you're a Hindu, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Hare Krishna, if you're a Scientologist, if you're an atheist, the fact that the law of lift is true, the law of gravity is true, the law of attraction is the same. For example, do you look at a magnet, magnetic power, a magnet picking up nails, magnetic power, is that of the devil? Now, can you explain it? Science can't even explain magnetic power, really, of how that works. They have some theories, but they really can't explain it. Is magnets of the devil? Can you believe in magnets and still be a Christian? Well, of course, it's a physical law. I mean, there's nothing magical here. Homeopathic remedies, is that of the devil? Homeopathic remedies is like cures like, and it's all based on energy. If you get a homeopathic remedy, there's nothing in it. It's energetic. It's a frequency. Homeopathy has been used for forever. It's not of the devil, so consider that. All right, the next thing
I'd like to talk to you for a few moments about relationships and the law of attraction. Let's say this is you, and let's say this is your man. Let's call him Mark.
My name is Bob.
Settle down, honey. I think she has a point she wants to make.
So let's say Mark is a liar, unkind, and takes you for granted. But that in a man, you want someone who is honest, kind, and appreciates you.
I do.
Well, honey, that sure is not Mark. You can either have Mark, or you can have someone who is honest, kind, and appreciates you, like Greg, or Joe, or David Beckham. No, not David Beckham, he is married.
I like Joe anyway.
Cool.
If someone does not treat you well, and has not treated you well for a long time, or maybe ever, it may be time to call it quits. You may not meet your Joe right away, but at least you won't be stuck with that jerk Mark anymore.
It's Bob. My name is Bob.
Whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, be honest with yourselves about your relationships. Are you being treated well, or are you always feeling let down? You can try to improve your relationships, but if someone makes promises to be better and still acts the same, you know it is time to move on. Be good to yourself and others. Do not let anyone treat you like anything less than you deserve. If they do, they're not the right one for you. Love to you.
Do you understand that all of this entire event is happening inside you? Well, just try to feel it for a second, because it's a trip, man. Some people go to the Super Bowl. I am the Super Bowl, man. I swear. My friends are all going, did you see that play? That was great. I'm like, yeah, but the energy coming out of me right now, man, is unbelievable. I'm just sitting there. I'm the stadium. I'm the vendors outside. I'm the crack dealer on the corner. I'm everything, man. There's no end to it, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. So I hope you can feel that, and I hope you understand that you are one of the creators of this evening, that your intentions and your desires created this evening as well. And then I hope you are able to ask yourself, why did I get such a crappy seat? And be okay with it. I mean, you're in the last row, in the last seat. And yet you created this. And that's got to be, it's a really selfless thing to do.
This is when I got The Secret thing, but I didn't know it was called The Secret. I read the book The Color Purple, and then went out and got books for everybody else I knew. And I was obsessed about this story. obsessed about it. I ate, slept, thought all the time about The Color Purple. I moved to Chicago. I get a call from a casting agent asking, would I like to come and audition for a movie? I've never gotten a call in my life from anybody for a movie or anything like that. And I say, is it The Color Purple? And he says, no, it's a movie called Moonsong. And I go, well, I've been praying for The Color Purple. And I go to the audition, and of course it was The Color Purple. I audition. I don't hear anything for months. And I go to this fat farm, and I think it's because I'm fat, because I was about 212 pounds at the time. And I think I didn't get the call back because I'm so fat. And I'm at this fat farm, and I'm praying and crying, saying to God, help me let this go. Because I wanted to be in this movie so much. I wanted it, I wanted it, I wanted it. I thought I was going to be in the movie. There's all these signs that I should be in the movie. And I go to this fat farm, and I'm praying and crying. And as I'm on the track singing this song, I surrender I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all. I'm singing that song, praying and crying. A woman comes out to me, and she says, on the track, it's raining, and she says, there's a phone call for you. And the phone call was Steven Spielberg saying, I want to see you in my office in California tomorrow. Now, what I learned from that, that moment absolutely changed my life forever, because I had drawn The Color Purple into my life. I didn't know Steven Spielberg. I didn't know Quincy Jones, who saw me in Chicago. In 1984, he was there for a lawsuit that was being filed against Michael Jackson because he'd been working on his Thriller album. And he saw me on AM Chicago and said, that's Sophia. Now, I didn't know him. I didn't know anybody that had anything to do with that. But I knew that I had drawn that into my life, and it changed the way I thought about my life forever.
So you're not surprised at the success of The Secret?
I'm thrilled for the success of The Secret. I think that the message needs to go further, because I think the mistake that was made with The Secret is that they tried to, don't know who they are, that they tried to let that be the answer to all questions. It's just one law. The law of attraction is one law. There are many laws working in the world. But it is very true that the way you think creates reality for yourself. There are other factors going on. So it's not everything, but you really can change your own reality based on the way that you think.
We both believe wholeheartedly that our thoughts, our feelings, our dreams, our ideas are physical in the universe. That if we dream something, if we picture something, if we commit ourselves to it, that is a physical thrust towards realization that we can put into the universe. That the universe is not a thing that's going to push us around. That the world and people and situations are not something that are going to push us around. That we are going to bend the universe and command and demand that the universe become what we want it to be.
This leads naturally to wonder, are people affecting the world of reality that they see? You betcha they are. Every single one of us affects the reality that we see, even if we try to hide from that and play victim. We all are doing it.
Just tell me where you are. Good. But hurry with it, please, because these models are giving me a headache.
10 minutes.
comes to us from Japan, and Mr. Masuro Emoto. Mr. Emoto became terribly interested in the molecular structure of water and what affects it. Now, water is the most receptive of the 4 elements. Mr. Emoto thought perhaps it would respond to non-physical events. So he set up a series of studies applied mental stimuli, and photographed it with a dark field microscope. This first picture is a picture of water from the Fujiwara Dam. And this picture is the same water after receiving a blessing from a Zen Buddhist monk. Now, in this next series of pictures, Mr. Emoto printed out words, taped them to bottles of distilled water, and left them out overnight. This first photograph is a picture of the pure distilled water, just the essence of itself. These subsequent photographs, as you can see, are each different. This is the chi of love. And we move along here to thank you. And you can see where he taped that to this bottle here. But if you read Japanese, you already knew that. Now, Mr. Emoto speaks of the thought or intent being the driving force in all of this. The science of how that actually affects the molecules is unknown, except to the water molecules, of course. And it's really fascinating when you keep in mind that 90% of our bodies are water.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? If thoughts can do that to water, imagine what our thoughts can do to us.
Absolutely. Thought alone can completely change the body.
Most people don't affect reality in a consistent, substantial way because they don't believe they can. They write an intention and then they erase it because they think that's silly. I mean, I can't do that. And then they write it again and then they erase it. So time average, it's a very small effect. And it really comes down to the fact that they believe.
Hi, Kevin. Great to talk to you. What I want to ask about is you have talked about people being able to change your frequency at which you vibrate. I happen to be totally blind. I was born congenitally totally blind, being given too much oxygen and therefore prematurely. So what I want to know is it possible, is this a visualization thing? Does it have to do with being able to see light or color or having seen it? Or how do you change your frequency?
No, not at all. It's a good question. You can be blind, you can be deaf, you can have any issue. Your brain and your mind are two different things. And I talk about this at length in the CD series, Your Wish is Your Command, How to Manifest Your Desires. It's 14 hours of training you how to change that frequency. So changing the frequency there's a sweet spot of what you think about. You don't need a mental image picture. You don't even need sound. It's what you're thinking about. And how do you know if you're thinking the right way? It manifests itself in how you feel. When you feel really, really, really good, your vibration is in line. You're in the sweet spot. So when you're thinking about what you want, and you feel good about that, even though you don't have it yet, that's the sweet spot. That's changing your frequency. What most people do is live throughout their life thinking about something they want and feeling frustrated that they don't have it. And that's a frequency of not having it or lack, which keeps it away from you. Or they look at their current situation, whether it's debt or a physical ailment, and they feel frustrated and bad that they have that physical ailment now or debt now, and that makes them feel bad, and so they're vibrating that, creating more of it. So when I say changing frequency or changing vibration, what I'm talking about is thinking about something you want or desire, whatever that may be, and when you think about it, it makes you feel good, even though it's not in your life right now. And when you're in that spot, and that's what I train people how to do, how to get into that, what we call the sweet spot. When you're in that sweet spot, then what you want comes into your life. And sometimes that can happen with hours, days, weeks, or months, but it comes into your life. And before it comes, you're feeling better than ever before anyway. So it's a really wonderful thing.
So, Kevin, for example, and I'm not exaggerating here, I'm being very literal. I am in chronic pain every waking moment. It's been that way for decades. How do you work with a situation like that? And still, you know.
That's really a good question, and it's very, very tough. If you're in a situation where you're dealing with physical pain, that's probably one of the most annoying things in the world, and really makes it difficult for you to feel good. So if you're in a negative, painful situation where it's physical pain, that's a real challenge. What I would suggest is do something to get rid of the pain. But what maybe you want to focus on is, I am going to be pain-free sometime. I know that I'm going to figure out a way to be pain-free. And if you can get into that zone, that's the trick, and that's the tough part. That's the habit. But if you can get into the zone of feeling good now, even though you're in pain, focusing on being out of pain, something will come into your life, whether it's Daryl Started's Biotape, which could do it, whether it's a mineral supplement that could handle the pain issue, whether it's a magnetic mattress pad, something will come into your life that will allow you to eliminate that pain. But the only way that you can eliminate the physical pain now when you're dealing with it every day, like a fibromyalgia situation, is to think, I will be pain-free. I will live a life completely feeling great physically. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know that's going to come. And if you can find that sweet spot where you can believe that, or I will reduce this pain. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know I can reduce it. Something will come into my life, some system, some method will come where I can reduce it. That is the sweet spot that'll create it in your life. And you can do that with pain, you can do that with cancer, you can do that with money, you can do that with your job, your boss, a relationship, any situation at all. You can have, be, or do whatever you want in your life. You have the power.